cannot enter your jurisdiction, ma'am.
Okay, so
Have you read, fellas?
Okay, so he's wearing, as a cape, what appears to be an American flag, but it's not quite. The stars and the background of the stars, their colors are flipped, and the stripes are going the wrong way. So I'm not sure what this particular flag is for. It's not the Montana flag, is it? Nope. I have no idea what that flag is.
have you submitted that to Mr. Hayden, to the prosecutor?
I brought it down to the only place, which is clerk of court, and there was no clerk of court, and I brought it on Tuesday in the good faith belief that this place is open for business on Tuesday, as I was told. And all that was here was for the fire report.
Yeah, no, courts are open Thursdays and Fridays, so,
So I've already got a file.
So would you like to-
I think we've seen this same woman before dealing with him. Honestly, every day does she come to work thinking, is this crazy man gonna come into court in some insane outfit?
talk to Mr. Hayden, you can talk to him via
Right out
video.
here in the hall. I can't pass through that doorway, ma'am. There's a reason why I look like this.
Okay, so,
Now,
Mr. Hayden, this is Mr. Turtlegate. You heard he said he can't enter the courtroom. Would you like to talk to him? Okay.
We can do it right out here in the hall. My first question to you is, are you associated with the bar? Mr. Hayden, answer the question. Are you Esquire? Do you bear title of nobility?
Okay, so let me explain that one. Sovereign citizens will... There was a proposed amendment which was never ratified that was originally, I think, going to be the 13th Amendment that effectively said, hey, if you receive a title, if you're an American citizen and you receive a title of nobility from a foreign government or any emoluments from a foreign government, your citizenship will be stripped away. Now, this proposed 13th Amendment, which was never ratified, was accidentally published in some books as the 13th Amendment. So, sovereign citizens believe that it actually wasn't a mistake. It was some sort of cover-up, and that the 13th Amendment actually says this, that if you receive a title of nobility from a foreign government, that you can have your citizenship stripped away. And then they have jumped from that to the idea that becoming a member of the bar, getting the title of Esquire if you are a lawyer and pass the bar exam, is somehow tantamount to receiving a title from a foreign government, despite the fact that the Bar Association is local. And when I say local, I mean, you know, within the United States or relative to the state in which you live. Like, there's a California bar, there's a Michigan bar, you know, you gotta pass bar exams based on the state that you're in. So, it's a whole bunch of mumbo-jumbo that means nothing. They believe that they can say to the judge or whoever, you went to law school, you are part of the bar, therefore you have received a title from a foreign government, and therefore you're not a citizen of the United States and cannot be a judge, and you have no authority over me. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. You really gotta dig in to see how convoluted this stuff goes. They think BAR stands for British Accounts and Registry or something, yeah, which is not what it stands for. At all. So, it's a bunch of bullshit, all connected by red string, a la A Beautiful Mind, and they just say it like other people are going to know what they're talking about. It takes concerted research to figure out where they're getting this nonsense from.
Do you want to go to jail?
It's the flag of the Revenue Cutter Service. What's the Revenue Cutter Service? Let's see. Revenue Cutter Service. Revenue Cutter Service was established by an act of Congress. Blah, blah, blah. Let me look at the Wikipedia. As the Revenue Marine upon the recommendation of Secretary of Treasury Alexander Hamilton to serve as an unarmed as an armed customs enforcement service. As time passed, the service gradually gained missions, either voluntarily or by legislation, including those of a military nature. It was generally referred to as the Revenue Marine until July 31st, 1894, when it was officially renamed the Revenue Cutter Service. The Revenue Cutter Service operated under the authority of the U.S. Department of the Treasury. On 18th of January 1915, the service was merged by an act of Congress with the United States Life-Saving Service to form the United States Coast Guard. Interesting. Don't know why he thinks that's relevant to what he's doing.
I want to uphold the Constitution of the United States, Mr. Hayden, and you want me to violate it. That's why you're soliciting my participation in the violation you wish to commit on
Cool flag.
restraint on alienation. I cannot do that.
So we'll have your hearing. If you want to stand and listen, you're more than welcome to.
All right, so on camera, here's what's happening. Step up. Cannot cross the bar, okay? So what you're going to watch here is you're going to watch a hearing that I'm standing right here refusing to cross because I'm upholding the 1789 Constitution of the...
Frankly, I don't understand why they think that it works this way, and not only that, I don't understand why the court is dealing with his bullshit. I would have arrested him for contempt of court multiple times. How fucking annoying. You've been called to court, presumably with a subpoena. Get in this courtroom, or go to jail. Like, what a waste of everyone's time. The courts are backed up enough. They don't need this bullshit.
United States. Make sure, okay. This is a hearing of what's called in absentia.
The description on the wiki says, the claimed United States civil flag, according to one conspiracy theory based on a misunderstanding of a reference to U.S. Customs, Coast Guard flags, and the introduction to Nathaniel Hawthorne's Scarlet Letter. For an example of the actual real U.S. Customs Coast Guard flags on which this is based, see file Flag of the United States Customs Service. Interesting.
You will see that Stormy and Clifton Hayden are participating together in a collusion to conspiracy to commit an act of inland piracy, this room being a star chamber. You see that?
I'm not familiar with the Star Chamber nomenclature. The term Star Chamber refers pejoratively to any secret or closed meeting held by a judicial or executive body. The room where it happened, basically, from Hamilton, sort of. Okay, gotcha.
The standard flag right there, that's called a Star Chamber flag, and it is a distillery configurations on it. That is a court of England. All right. Now, I refuse to participate with that because for me to do so sets me in violation.
Here's a conspiracy website about the flag. Oh, God. Oh, look at how bad the formatting is, too. It only, does half my screen. Let's see. United States flag, the banner of the Republic and law under the Constitution. They can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety, deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin, I don't care. From the loftiest point of its roof, during precisely 3.5 hours of each forenoon, floats or droops and breeze or calm the banner of the Republic, but with the 13 stripes turned vertically instead of horizontally, and thus indicating that a civil and not military post of Uncle Sam's government is here established. Oh, God. U.S. civil flag, that's from the Scarlet Letter. U.S. civil flags is seen in the restoration of a common law government as defined in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States of America, and the reinstitution of a debt and usury-free gold-based currency coined by the Treasury of the United States. Again, with the obsession with the gold standard. Who cares? Fly the flag, restore the dream. The Sons of Liberty inspired a revolution that broke the chains of royal control over people yearning to be free, as long as you are a white land-owning man. The flag they flew was red and white with stripes running vertically. Admiralty law. Oh, God, with this shit. Admiralty law encompasses all controversies arising out of acts done upon or relating to the sea and questions of prize. Prize is the law dealing with war and the spoils of war, such as capture of ships, goods, materials, property, both real and personal. Jesus H. Christ.
of our Constitution of the United States of America, 1789. So, probably, what they're gonna do is they're gonna find me guilty. They're gonna find the corporate slave that I refuse to impersonate guilty in absentia here because I refuse to impersonate.
No, you will be found guilty and held in contempt of court because you refuse to enter the courtroom which you have been subpoenaed to answer for whatever crimes that you've done, whether it's not paying taxes or whatever it might be.
The all capitals federal slave. Impersonation is a federal crime. If I was foolish enough to commit an impersonation, I could be put away for 20 years. Whatever I have to face, I will have to face because I refuse to commit a crime.
No, you're not impersonating anyone. There is no straw man version of you on paper that you are impersonating when you appear in court when you're summoned. It is you. When the court says whatever this guy's legal name is, they are not referring to some made-up bullshit corporation. They mean you. The person, the individual. That is what they mean.
So they're gonna talk over top of me, and I'm gonna keep talking right on through it.
I don't know why he's wearing the gloves. It seems like he must be very warm with that thick-ass coat, the cargo pants, and the thick gloves.
Or we can view and listen, if you would like. You all know my purpose, and what I have here behind this is my...
I'm getting redneck white guy Flava Flav vibes off, because of the no hunting or trespassing.
little booklet of the 1789 Constitution. This sign for no trespassing. Under penalty of law. Want to listen?
Flava Flav. Oh, so this guy can enter the court. Okay. Seems arbitrary, but whatever you say.
This gentleman says he thinks it's January 26th. And so does Mrs. Turner.
Yeah, actually, this says it's the pre-trial.
Yeah, but I think we're pushing everything back because we didn't have the omnibus, because Mr. Turner was incarcerated.
Okay.
Okay, so the pre-trial then will be the 26th of January. And we will do, at that point, we'll determine if it's going to bench or jury, but we will push the trial date
It's
to
going to jury.
February.
I refuse bench on the record.
That's not how it works. You don't get to decide whether you have a bench trial or a jury trial, depending on the context. I believe the Supreme Court has held that you need to have a sentence possible that's like either a minimum of a year or 6 months or something like that in a criminal case, and in that case you are afforded a jury trial. But less than that, no, you typically get a bench trial, which is when the judge makes a determination as opposed to a jury.
This will be jury trial by a jury of those that know me, purpose of the word peers.
Okay, so Mr. Turner,
No, the word peers does not mean when you are afforded a jury trial by a jury of your peers. Does not mean it's by people that literally know who you are. In fact, quite the opposite. Voir dire, which is the process by which you basically jury select. I don't know if anyone's ever been called for jury duty, but if so, you may have gone through this process. They ask you, does anyone, like, know this person or have any reason why there might be conflicts of interest in you being able to be an impartial juror? So if you know the person personally, like if you know Natural Man, it is your obligation as a juror to disclose that to the court, and they will dismiss you as a juror, because that would be improper. You know that person. Even if they're guilty, you might find them innocent. Peers just means by people who are peers to you. I know I just defined a word with a word. Let me do that better. It's people who are in the same community, people who reflect the same values, more or less, as you. I mean, it's very broad, but that same language has been used, for instance, in the Supreme Court to say that, like, if you are a minority, if you're black, let's say, and your jury is entirely white people, that doesn't necessarily reflect a jury of your peers. So they found that you can request, basically, making sure you get a jury that's reflective of, at least in part, people who might understand what you're going through.
Appropriate from the hallway says that he's requesting jury trial, so that's fine with the court. It'll be February 16th, I believe that's a Thursday. Okay, February 16th at 10 a.m. Okay. All right. So then, this case will go to pre-trial on the 26th of January.
All right, thanks, Judge.
All right, thank you.
For the court
And I'll
record,
call you back for the other one.
that is acceptable
All
to
right.
me.
Bye.
I will work with that. But Stormy will have to take me as a prisoner.
There's nothing
or-
funny about the
and
tools
make
of
me
capitalism.
Cotton Candy 903 with a bit. Hello, just got here. What did I miss? Natural man refusing to enter a courtroom.
Okay,
Basically.
I will try. Thank you very much.
Now, Stormy,
Yes.
Daddy Sume has a link about this.
all right? I'm asking
Montana mountain man sent to jail after refusing to remove hat.
Amicus Curiae, exhibit
Ernie Wayne Turtlegeet, oh god. Turtlegut? Is that how you pronounce that? I'm not sure. That's basically exactly the kind of name I expected, to be honest. The self-proclaimed natural man, who became an internet sensation for his pro se defense, pro se meaning defending oneself in court without a lawyer, for his pro se defense of his fishing rights in a Montana courtroom, was sent to jail on January 27th for refusing to remove his hat in court. In his piece titled "Montana Man Sent to Jail for Courtroom Contempt," MTN News reporter Beth Sobe, who was apparently at the scene, described the hearing this way, quote, "The hearing opened with a request by Justice of the Peace Rick West that Turtlegut remove his hat in the courtroom. Oh god. Turtlegut repeatedly refused and walked towards the exit as if he were leaving. West warned him that he would be held in contempt if he did not remove his hat and return to the front of the courtroom, but Turtlegut did not comply and he was taken into custody. He was sentenced to 30 days in jail and a $500 fine. Turtlegut became famous for a court appearance back in 2013 in which he appeared on charges of fishing without a license, obstructing a peace officer, and resisting arrest during short court appearance less than 15 minutes. I'm just going to use pronouns because I can't pronounce that shit. He argued on natural law grounds that the state could not prevent a man for foraging for food. He pointed out that the U.S. flag in the courtroom was gold fringe and called the flag the Jolly Roger, and the entire hearing a con. Sovereign citizens believe that gold fringe on a flag in a courtroom means that it is actually an admiralty court and they are operating under maritime law. Of course, not the case. That's not what that means. Any flag in the U.S. can have a gold fringe on it, or not. It's one of the only things that the flag code says a flag can either have or not, and they're both valid. Not that people, follow the flag code anyway, but I'm just saying, like, in a federal courtroom, it can have a fringe, it cannot have a fringe. They often go for the fringe because it looks sort of official for some reason. I think it looks ugly, but hey, it's a courtroom. They don't need to have design sense. The original hearing ended with both him and Three Forks City Judge Wanda Drush walking out of court after he refused to recognize the court's authority. It appears that he attempted to do the exact same thing this time, but was taken into custody at the door. Video cameras were apparently not allowed in the court at all during this hearing, likely because of the national attention he garnered after his first appearance. Yeah.
Some addendums I have filed that you're holding in your hands, you have a good amount of time to work through it.
Migu R says, "Oh yeah, I forgot Herman Cain died because of COVID-19. Life comes at you fast when you can survive an unpreventable death of cancer, but kick the bucket on a completely preventable disease." And his staffers were still publishing anti-mask COVID tweets, like, up until last night. It's sick. Republicans will never fucking learn. I tell ya. They're a goddamn death cult.
We'll do that.
Do you have my phone number?
We should, let me double check.
You do. Yes, ma'am.
I do not. What is your phone number?
599
Uh-huh.
6299.
Okay.
As you work through that stuff, you're just about bound to develop questions. Do yourself and me the honor, just briefly write down your questions, and please feel free to give me a call. I'm not talking out of my hind end or just making stuff up.
You are, though. You are talking out of your hind end exclusively. None of what you said has a basis in actual legal, scholarship. Nothing that you have said has precedence in the U.S. legal system. Period.
Okay? You have a chance, standing here in the form of me in this area of yours, to oversee one of the greatest cases out of one of the simplest appearances that there is. I've been through this. This is
Oh, stop crinkling. I'm gonna skip ahead to when they get outside.
Okay, so my question is, there was not the setup that you were talking about with the bar cross.
threshold. It's imaginary.
Okay.
The line in the sand is imaginary.
And the flag was not with the gold fringe.
So he's like, presumably he had told these other mountain men, as they look to be, like, there's gonna be a gold fringe because it's an admiralty court, and there's gonna be this, this, and that. All these sovereign citizen, bullshit things that they believe, and none of that was there, and they're like, hey, why was that? And instead of being like, oh, I was wrong, actually, it's not an admiralty court, none of that means anything, it's just a courtroom, he's gonna come up with some bullshit excuse.
That's right.
No, it didn't.
It's still a star chamber.
Okay.
That doesn't make any difference, okay? When the
Okay, but, it apparently does, because when there is a fringe, you bring it up. So if the fringe means nothing, then why do you claim it means something when there is that?
gold fringes around it, you're seeing corporate mayoralty, or maritime, is what you're seeing.
No, you're not. That's not what that means. You know what that means? It means the persons whose job it was to pick what flag goes in that court went, oh, this one with the gold fringe looks nice. It's literally all it means.
Corporate maritime, which means a law of the sea as if it were over the land. That is a land flag, but what is on the land? The full study of history reveals that is the standard of a star
We
chamber.
go for
A
breakfast.
star chamber
Yeah,
is
that's
a court
exactly
of,
what
well,
we were
let's finish this
doing.
there. And now,
say we
we're on the record now.
Okay, so we're here with Ernie, Montana's natural man. We've just been to an omnibus hearing. That was a result of a detainment due to not having a specific ID, which you don't agree with. Tell us what happened. So with the omnibus hearing specifically, recap that, and then tell us what's going to be happening next.
Okay. This morning was supposed to be what was called an omnibus hearing, according to the paperwork that the court has unlawfully forwarded to me, who I'm not the slave. I always have to say that.
It's not unlawful. They sent you a subpoena. That's lawful. It's from the court. If you get something from a court, not always the case. There are exceptions, of course, and you can get your things thrown out if it is unlawful. But 99.999% of the time, if you get something from a court, it's lawful. Because you know who tends to know the law? Judges.
So the point of it is that what they wanted to happen today didn't. Because I cannot enter into their jurisdiction, I am constitutionally 1789 restrained. So what they attempted to do has been thwarted today. They're gonna have to try it again on the 26th of January. All right. When I refused to enter into Stormy's jurisdiction, I wouldn't pass through that door, and she refused.
And Stormy is a local magistrate.
Stormy is the local municipal administrator, who's posing as if she's a constitutional magistrate. Okay? When I wouldn't enter into that jurisdiction, and I told her she would have to take me as a prisoner of war on the record, she made no comment. I don't know what'll come out of that. We'll see in time. It'll play out in the course of time, is about all I can say there.
I don't think she heard you.
So, maybe she didn't. It'll come up again, believe you me. I've been through this. This is the 12th time. So, what they wanted to happen today was she should have read whatever charges called allegements that the state is trying to make against me. She should have read them.
I'm pretty sure today they were just setting a date for your arraignment. That's not what you do today. Today they're just setting a date for your actual, like, arraignment court date while they'll go over charges and stuff.
And they were expecting me to be complicit with their commission of violation of restraint on their alienation. And she expected me to pass through those doors under threat of duress and coercion of, you heard Clifton Hayden, who wouldn't answer the question if he was bar, carried title of nobility, was an
Bar is not a title of nobility. Being a lawyer is not a title of nobility, and it certainly isn't one from a foreign government.
esquire or not, because he's guilty of all three.
So,
Okay.
who is Clifton?
Clifton Hayden is posing as court counsel. He's there to sabotage Stormy.
So-
And me, if he can get it done.
So he is for the prosecution or your defender?
He's prosecution for the state. I have no defender. I refuse all their proposed actors, and I speak for myself. I present myself in, of, and as I am. I am that I am. That phrase?
That's all that I am.
That's it.
That's a quote from God. It seems a little, narcissistic to apply that phrase to oneself, but alright. Let me turn the air up. I'll be right back.
Okay. So she and Clifton conspired and colluded together in spite of their
Isn't that a quote from Popeye? I am that I am. Yeah, but like God also said, I am that I am.
being
So.
filmed evidence of
Let me see. I'm pretty sure. I know it was in. Hold on. Yeah. God said that. In the book of Exodus, I believe it happens when Moses is confronted with the burning bush. God, he asks the bush, like, who are you? And he says, I am that I am. And it's God.
me standing
Yahweh,
right
more
at the door
specifically.
without passing through that door and crossing that imaginary line on the carpet that your eyes can't see, but she claims
Yeah, there's
that
charisma saves tonight. I think we're starting at 8:30.
that's where her jurisdiction begins. So that seam of where the two carpets in the hallway and her door come together, that seam would pass for the imaginary bar. The bar is a little spit of land. In the hall where I stood, I'm on dry land. If I pass over that jurisdiction, it would be as if I went out to sea, and it would become a sea trial for naval personnel or marine, which is not me. I am a landed state national.
So let me ask you this. Is there a legitimate court in America that
you know a lot about the Bible. Are you a believer? No. I'm an atheist. I've just spent the last decade or so, I do on YouTube, on Hannah and Jake. Jake and I do a atheist Bible study, so I've read almost the entire Bible. And I was a believer at one point. I went to Christian school, so I know, you know, I'm not an expert by any means, but I know a lot about it, so.
You could cross into and have proper jurisdiction.
Like, I find Christian mythology to be, like, incredibly fascinating. Some people might not like me calling it mythology, but as a non-believer, that's how I view it, and I find it interesting, especially the Old Testament. Jesus is fun, and there's some cool stuff in the New Testament, but man, the Old Testament is just bonkers awesome sometimes, like, taken as what it is.
More of,
What would be the qualifications for that?
oh, too lengthy for what little time we got here, but it would have to be a proper, a true to the letter. 1789 constitutionally arisen, founded, based, and backed court of common law. That is the law form that is pertinent to the jurisdiction of a state national American, which is what I am. It is common law. That is the supreme law of the land in Article 6 of the 1789 contract. Okay? For me to cross over that bar is for me to violate this.
If you do check out the Bible study, which just got linked, bear in mind, I was like 18 when we started, so I was like a super cringy, edgy atheist when we started out, but over time, I softened, and, like, I don't care. If someone wants to believe in the Bible, that's their business, I don't care. So just beware, there's some, like, cringy edgelord stuff in that early stuff if you end up checking it out.
1789 restraint. If I violate those lawful restraints laid on me, and I enter into a jurisdiction that is foreign to mine, then two things have happened. A, I am committing an act of treason against my proper jurisdictional restraints on me, first, to know what I am, who I am.
Was I an anti-theist? I was pretty anti-theistic at the time. I legit was like, I was in that fray. I was pretty new to, like, being a non-believer. I went to Christian school, and my parents are religious. My mom more so than my dad, and I was just really mad about it. I was mad that I felt lied to, so I, like, got really, really anti-religious. And I still think religion isn't true, and I think that it leads to a lot of problems, but basically anything involving humans leads to problems, so. At the end of the day, I don't really care what other people think, as long as it doesn't hurt other people. Now, if you start to try and use your religion to justify, like, being anti-trans or anti-gay or whatever, that's a whole other story, and that's something that needs to be addressed. But, like, in terms of people just believing, like, a certain religion, whether it's Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever, fine, I don't care. If it gets you through the day, understand, as long as you also recognize that you live in the real world and, like, science is real and, you know, aren't, like, a climate change denier because of it.
And what pertains to me. Second, the instant I step across there, I am now caught in the act of having set myself up as impersonating a person of that jurisdiction. It's very treacherous semantical game. Okay? You have to know the terminology, and I'm no expert.
Look at this dog and cat says, you might not want to do it because it's over an hour long, but Cat Hovind does have a whole video about redeeming the straw man, yeah. I have this bookmarked. We'll do it at some point.
They failed again.
We did a different one of his, which are pretty good, but...
Because if there is no contract, can you enforce a deal if there is no contract? No. A deal cannot be enforced if there is no contract, and there is...
Do you understand what the social contract entails? You don't need to literally sign a contract to say, I agree to the laws of the United States. The fact is, we all live here. If you were born here, you are a birthright citizen, or if you came here and gained citizenship, you're a naturalized citizen, or even if you're just here visiting or have a green card or whatever, you are still under the purview of the laws of the land, because that's how society works. We live in a society, to quote the Joker. Like, you don't have to literally sign a piece of paper consenting. It's just something we've all agreed to, more or less.
There is no conflict.
And when society decides, at least enough of them, that they don't agree with the current social contract, you get revolutions. Some successful, some not. But unless you're willing to, like, overthrow the United States government, which I wouldn't recommend, they're the ones with all the bombs and tanks and drones. If that's your intention, then you can claim that you're no longer a part of the social contract, but as long as you're living under the contract that we all sort of passively agree to, it's part of it. You don't need to consent. You've already consented.
Contracts extant between Stormy and I, or the state and I, or Clifton Hayden and I. There's not one. There's no evidence to be brought forward. And for the state to prove, the state being the one who's accusing me as if I were the guilty party, for the state to try to lay it on me to prove their crime is the reverse psychology of those who take oaths to the bar. They want me to play the part of the defendant while they play the holy and spiritual part of the offended plaintiff. The actuality is that
It has nothing to do with spirituality. You're the defendant because you are accused of a crime. You've been, not convicted. What's the word I'm thinking of? God, why am I blanking? This is like the most basic legal terminology. You've been arrested for a crime. You've been, I'm waiting for chat to save my ass from looking like an idiot. Too late, but, you know. You've been charged. Jesus fucking Christ. You've been charged with a crime, which is basically, legally speaking, you've been officially accused of it, and now the court is going to try and prosecute you, and the burden of proof is on them to prove that you have committed this crime, because, of course, in this country, you are innocent until proven guilty. So the burden of proof is on them. It has nothing to do with, like, they have the spiritual blah, 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 blah. No. Not how this works.
all of the theys involved in this, agents, actors, principals, the notice to them is that they have offended the 1789 constitutional restraints. In such offense, they...
The only constitution that these people believe is valid, it depends on the person, but like specifically him and his Mountain Man brand of sovereign citizen believes that any amendments to the Constitution, like after 1789, because I believe that's when the Constitution was initially, ratified, after the Articles of Confederation kind of fell the fuck apart, he believes that that's the true Constitution, and a ton of the alterations that have happened over time make it, not right. Whatever.
have alienated themselves from those constitutional restraints, which is an act of treason. If you are found in opposition to the 1789 Constitution, and a chance is given to you to correct the error of your ways, to right the ship, and get yourself on the true course of navigation, get in that jurisdiction you're supposed to be in by contract law, and you don't, then the charge of treason comes forward. Now, I need to answer your question here.
Does that mean he doesn't think women or black people should have the right to vote? I don't know. I don't know if this dude's racist or what.
So much to this, it's like impossible to ever keep.
He always quotes the 1789 Constitution, though. He never just says the Constitution. So, which is funny because when he's talking about, like, the bar and having passed the bar exam and becoming a lawyer counts as, like, getting a title from a foreign government, which of course it doesn't. He quotes the bullshit 13th Amendment, which was never ratified. I mean, there is a real 13th Amendment, but there was this other 13th Amendment that was proposed but never ratified, but sovereign citizens sometimes think that it was secretly, and it's a cover-up, that says that your citizenship can be stripped away if you receive a title or emoluments from a foreign government. So he thinks that amendment, which didn't even exist, wasn't ratified. He thinks that's fine, but he always quotes the 1789 Constitution, and I don't know why.
Keep it short and simple. Suffice it to say that they failed again. There still is no contract. And nobody can say that I didn't appear. You even saw Stormy come out into the hall, leaving her jurisdiction behind and came out into the hall. Okay, she should never have done that. That was an act of unwitting incompetence on her part, and you're probably right. And I made it plain in my 20-page amicus curiae to her, my friend of the court brief, that there's a whole lot of things that I expect she doesn't know that would probably change her position in life. Thank you, ma'am. That would probably change her position and the way she operates. So, Clifton Hayden, who would not answer my questions as to whether he was bar member, esquire, or bore any title of nobility.
He knows the first 10 weren't ratified for several years, right? I have no
His
idea.
non-answer is
Did a trial of your peers who know you explain what's going to happen next as far as the
they're going to have to try to have another today. They're going to try to have that next today on the 26th of January comes. They're calling it a pre-trial hearing. They still have not had an omnibus. It failed again today because I refused to comply with their solicitation to participate in their violation of restraints upon them to keep them from alienating constitutional law from themselves. I'm sorry for the mental tennis that this requires, but it's mental tennis, and this is how the subject works back and forth, okay?
I'll be the referee.
Who's winning?
So far, you're looking good.
Oh, yeehaw. So that's the deal. Now, what'll happen
It
on the
seems like
26th?
his wife knows that this is bullshit. If you watch her reactions, and she's just like going along with it, and I feel bad for her.
When I refuse to cross that jurisdiction again, I will not enter in past that doorway. I won't cross the imaginary line. You already heard
I
me.
assume that's his wife. I guess I shouldn't assume that, but it seemed like it was maybe his wife. Cotton Candy 903. I wonder if they think bar, however you spell it, is a foreign title because they use the same titles for lawyers in the UK. Maybe.
Record, tell her she will have to take me as a prisoner of war. Now, what happens when she takes me as a prisoner of war?
You aren't a prisoner of war if you're found guilty of contempt of court or whatever you're being accused of. That's not what it is. You'd be a normal prisoner in jail for a crime that you have been convicted of.
What happens to my standing? What happens to
Could be his sister. True.
her standing at that point?
It seems like it's someone who doesn't buy into this sovereign citizen stuff, but is connected to him in some way, whether it be a sister or a wife or whatever.
Her standing at that point is that she instantly impersonates as if she was military. And there's many ramifications can come forward from that. If she actually has been militarized in the past, let's say she was National Guard or regular Army or whatever, I don't know anything about Stormy's past life history. She admitted she had it, and I advised peace upon the land. He didn't say peace at sea, peace upon the land. Until that point, roughly somewhere around I think it's late 1865, early 1866, that standard was the standard that was flown. And if you pay attention, those of you that watch TV and what have you, get the old movie of North by Northwest, the old black and white with Cary Grant in it, who's on the run for being framed for a murder he did.
I don't think North by Northwest is in black and white, is it? It's an Alfred Hitchcock color film, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. He's not even right about that. What the fuck? Interesting.
Didn't commit.
Or is it Northwest Passage?
No, North by Northwest
Northwest
is the name of the movie.
Okay.
Cary
So,
Grant.
Cary Grant is the principal actor. There will be a clip in there about 20 seconds long wherein he rushes in.
Why did they
into
bring their own
United-
special coffee cup? I did notice that. Like, this coffee cup's different than this coffee cup. And this one looks more like a restaurant coffee cup than this. So I have no idea. Maybe the restaurant just has a bunch of random coffee cups? I don't know.
Nations building in New York. and is desperately looking for sanctuary and a telephone booth to
Oh, they colorized it later. I didn't know that.
make a quick call in as he's trying to flee. If you look up behind him, you will see a 30-foot long civil peace standard just exactly like what I had around my shoulders this morning. In other words, I
That looks delicious.
clad myself in the colors of actual law of the land. Now, let's swing this
Oh, biscuits and gravy. Yes, please.
subject back. Thank you, ma'am.
Baja, when I get paid from Twitch next, I'm gonna get us some dinner from like Denny's or IHOP or something, and I'm gonna get some biscuits and gravy.
You guys want hot sauce at all?
That sounds amazing.
No? Okay, enjoy you guys.
Cool. All right. So now, let's say that Stormy has decided she's going to impersonate a federal court. That's fine. If she wishes to commit impersonation, that's her business. I don't recommend it to anybody. She better know what happens when you impersonate something. But even if she is impersonating a federal court, she then is expressing that she is in alignment with the U.S. Supreme Court, which has issued rulings that says a driver's license is a moot
Is there a Waffle House near us? Nope, I've never eaten at a Waffle House.
point when it comes to state national Americans who are not actively involved by contract form in the crisscrossing
Interstate.
Oh, shit. Well, I clicked off it anyway. That's fine. That's enough living man for